Hey, everybody, how are you? And welcome to another edition of Love Hacks with my good friend Lisa Marie. She is standing in the wings, waiting to come on the air, and we will be with you momentarily. Stay tuned.
Check this.
We got us a show. It's as big as the world. It's on Wednesdays at 7 with two boys and a girl. Love hacks, baby, love hacks. Yeah. How are you? How are you, Miss Lisa?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm doing great. Let's do something real quick here. Let's just start off right out of the box with my good friend Tora Arcella. He sent me a question. So because I think he thinks that if he puts it up on our board over here that I won't ask you. So, anyway,
right.
the question is, this is our starter. What is a good conversation starter on a date?
All
That's
right.
from Tora.
Tora, my favorite. Well, I like open-ended questions. So I like saying things like, so tell me about yourself. And then people generally start with, what's really important in their life, their priorities. So you kind of get a list of their priorities by how they order the things that they begin to tell you. So I don't like to ask questions that give a yes or no answer. Like, do you like pizza? Because it's like, yeah.
Yes.
Then you
But
get
who would
stuck.
ask that question?
Well, I'm just saying, but if you do that, then you're stuck. Then the ball's back in your court, and then you're like, "So, do you like soccer? And whatever." And then it goes the wrong way. So always say, well, tell me something about you.
Yeah.
And open-ended is good.
Open-ended. And let's give him a couple examples because he's probably wondering. I mean, he's probably thinking that sounds like a good idea, but I can't think of any good open-ended questions.
Well, just like, hey, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you're interested in. What's important to you.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but you're one of his coaches. You're his coach, so he can always call you and find out from you
Hi,
straight
Amy.
up.
Hi,
There's
how are
Amy.
you?
I brought her
I'm
on
good.
to join us. Hey,
How you
Amy,
doing?
I'm good.
what's a good conversation starter on a date, in your opinion?
Not politics or religion.
I agree.
I think one of the easiest things is something that everybody has in common, like food, restaurants, type of cuisine you like, comparing notes.
Yeah, but if
when
you ask that
travel.
question, so Lisa says you should ask open-ended questions, so that
Oh,
way,
absolutely.
yeah, don't say, "Do you like pizza?" They say,
No. But what are your favorite restaurants or?
Yes, that's a
What
good
do you like to
question.
cook? I always like to find out what people like to cook.
Oh, well, you can't ask Lisa that question.
I don't like to cook anything. So.
That's important knowledge.
Yeah,
It is. It's good information.
I'm getting strangled by my little bag thing here. Sorry.
I
All right.
always like to find out people's hobbies too.
What'd you say?
Hobbies?
Hobbies like painting gnomes?
Yeah, and whatever they need, whatever they do in their spare time.
Painting gnomes, check please.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what, Lisa? My little friend Amy here just sits down and paints a gnome at lunch.
Oh, do you? Oh, cool.
I got bored.
Yeah, she put them on her Facebook and said, "Look what
Doing worky work meetings."
Well, well, whatever you got to do to relax. Sometimes you got to do something that's totally, completely
Mhm.
away from everything to get your mind off of everything. So
Exactly.
Exactly. So then she made another one today. Listen, I think I need one on my wall in here, though.
You need one? I'll send you one.
Okay. That'll be cool. All right. So our topic today, as I've told everyone that was that I sent out all the messages and stuff like that. And by the way, first let's say hello to Steve Day, Vicky
Steve.
Barrios, who's a good friend of mine, Greg Vick, also saying hello. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and comment if you'd like. But the question today, the topic today, tell us what we're doing, Lisa.
We're talking about negative thinking and more importantly, negative speaking. So I was reading this study the other day that talked about, everybody is always like, think positive and say positive stuff and whatever. Well, they did this study and they actually found out that negative thinking or negative speaking was 4 times more powerful than positive speaking.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you say something positive, it may or may not happen. But if you say something negative, it's 4 times more likely to happen. And I was like, wow, and they actually did studies on it. And
Yeah.
so, I see this a lot when I talk to people about dating. They always call me when they have a problem and they're like, well, everybody I meet is this way and all men are this and all women are that. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. When you go into anything with that type of a negative thought process, and especially for whatever reason, when you speak it, it tends to, it's self-fulfilling.
Yeah.
So you have to go into dating with no negative thoughts. You don't have to be overly positive, like, oh, I'm going to meet the love of my life, the first day I go on a dating site or anything like that. But you have to get rid of your negative thoughts about
Like,
all men are
I'm
this
never,
way.
or I'm never
Right.
going to meet anybody. I'm never going to meet anybody. There's never going to be anybody in my life, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I hear that a lot from my clients. Guys will be like, oh, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too this, there's nobody out there. And they start with this negative. And of course, when you go in with that attitude, nothing good's going to happen. And,
Sure.
and I, even on Facebook, my friends, they're always posting, oh, I'll never find anybody, I'm going to die alone. And I don't think that's a good approach to start out with. I think you have to.
I'm always tempted to write back and say, yeah, you're probably right. Just to be a smart aleck and, yeah, I don't like hearing all that negative talk. Me, that's the thing with MoreJoy is it's all about being positive. I will tell you that, Lisa, I went in to just emphasize what you're saying. I went to one time a Zig Ziglar, went and saw him speak. It was the other radio station I was working at. We were advertising and it was a trade. They just gave us tickets to his thing, which were like $150, to go see Zig Ziglar talk. I was like, I got to get that gig. Anyway, he went into a prison. Talked to the prisoners, and every single prisoner he talked to, he said there's over 100 prisoners that he sat down and spoke with. Every single one of them can recall at some point in their youth someone saying, you're going to end up in prison.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Words are powerful. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. So, I mean, his whole topic was being a good finder. So it's all about finding the positive in things and then speaking into them, and living into the goodness of, like, speaking, like when, some jerks talking to the airline person behind the airline counter and being a jerk, whatever, he said, I just step up and say, hi, how are you? I like, whatever. He just tries to be as positive and shows as much, care as he can for that person, because it makes a difference in their life. It makes a big difference in their life because the guy who is just there, as you said, made 4 times more of an impact on them
Yeah.
than Zig made with his kindness, but still it was necessary. So
Yeah. And, everybody's always like, well, I've tried the positive thinking, whatever, and it didn't work and it didn't work. Positive thinking, to get it to work, is very difficult. Negative thinking is very easy to get it to work for whatever reason. It just seems more powerful. And especially if you speak it or you write it. There was a sports coach I was listening to the other day, and one of the big things that he did to change his team, I'm not really into sports, so I can't tell you who it was or what team or anything, but I was listening to this. And so the guy was saying that the only thing that he did was different to turn his whole team around was he forbid anybody to say anything negative. And the results on that were just spectacular.
right.
And he didn't say anything, you don't have to say anything positive, but you cannot say anything negative. So that's one of the things that I work with, especially, if somebody is contacting me and they're having a problem with dating or relationships or whatever, and they have these negative thoughts, like we talked about, people are also going to pick up on that. Women are very in tune to that, and I've met men that, have this really, all women are this and that and whatever. And, I'm just like, I'm out, I'm done. Nobody wants to be around that. And it's the same thing with men, when they meet a woman, if the first thing she says is, well, all men are cheaters and all my relationships are bad and da, 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 da.
No, yeah.
He's going to be like, oh, well, I'm like fighting an uphill battle here, So you got to take care of that first and go in with the right attitude that, there's good and bad everywhere,
Right.
and you can't have these ideas that everybody's this way or everybody's that way. You have to know that they're not.
Well, no, generalizations stink. I hate generalizations when people make them. And, and I'm pretty attuned to them, but I do it myself. I mean, I'm sorry, but I do. I say something like, firemen, or something like that. What I like to say is nurses are the best, and I'll say that. Something like that. That's fine. That's being positive and
I mean, some of them there's bad nurses too.
Oh, of course.
So,
of course. Yeah, but if they're sticking you with a needle, it's nice to be nice to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But there's good and bad in everybody. And I think that your attitude going into meeting somebody, like if you're meeting somebody for a first date, you don't go into it thinking, this is probably going to be a waste of time. I'm going to go and meet some other loser. And, you have to have the right kind of attitude.
But how many people do that? I mean, how many people go, like, especially with the whole online dating, you see some guy and you think he's great, but then you're thinking in your head, this guy's probably as big a jerk as anybody else, and you don't even give the guy or girl, you don't give him any room to, be good,
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear my clients, they'll say, well, I've got a date, with this girl this weekend or whatever, but she probably, she'll show up and she'll look 20 years older than her picture and, this and that, and whatever. And I'm like, you just, you can't go in with this type of attitude,
Yeah.
You have to be positive.
Yeah. Steve Day says negativity breeds negativity. He also says, that's why I stay positive and am going to marry Lisa one day.
You never know.
And then my buddy Vicky, she said, "Hey guys, great stuff. The mind is a powerful. How do you keep from staying out of the negative? How do you how do you stay out of the negative?"
Yeah, it's just practice. You got to catch yourself doing it. Whenever you catch yourself thinking something negative or saying something negative, you stop yourself and just make it a habit to never say anything negative.
Right.
Part of the study I was reading was these people that were saying, oh, I hate my job and da 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 da, and they would always have a bad day if they started out that way. Whereas the people that didn't do that, they generally, their days went better. And it was just kind of weird. I don't know if it's some spiritual voodoo thing, or if I don't know, understand exactly what it is, if it's your subconscious mind, registering that and then producing that, I don't know. But they did actually do scientific studies on it, and it was true that a negative thought is 4 times more powerful than a positive thought.
Right.
So you can't be going, not everybody can go around and positive all the time, but just don't be negative. You can just be neutral and you'll do better. So.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like a friend of mine, I said, don't you want to be happy all the time? He said, that's impossible. You can't be happy all the time. He said, but you can be content, so that's kind of the same. I feel like what you're saying is, you don't have to be positive all the time, but be content in who you are and don't be negative,
Well, what I thought was really interesting about the study was, inside of our minds, we always have doubts. We always have negativity, always in our minds, right?
Right.
But that doesn't really seem to affect the outcome as much as when we speak the negativity. That's when it gives it power. And I don't know why that is, but the studies did show that. So I thought that was interesting too.
That's cool. No, Clark Crawford has been commenting. He said, love never fails, number one. Then he said, there is life and death in the power of the tongue, which I think is biblical, but he's trying to be great without that. And then also you'll have what you speak. And I know that's a biblical precept as well. I think one of the things that I used to do every day, and I don't know why I got away from it, but I used to wake up every morning, and like you just said, there's a spiritual voodoo thing. I used to read the Ephesians, and Clark can give me the actual address, but it was about putting on the whole armor of God, so that you're ready to go in your day. You're ready to go and nurture people and give them good positive vibes, and you're also protecting yourself from the negative terms and words and stuff that people want to heap on you. And I tell you right now, I need to get back to it, because when I used to do it, I always felt so good all day. Yeah. And I'm speaking those words, and it works. I mean, it helps you to feel that way.
Yeah. And you can apply that, to your daily life, but also to your dating life and your relationships too. So, if you're expecting, your spouse to come home and be in a bad mood, and you're like, oh God, here he comes, it's going to be another fight, or, she's going to want this or ask for that or whatever. And then, you already have this big attitude before they even walk in the door, so, and they can sense that. People can.
Yeah. The address on that is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. So I knew Clark would come up with it for me. Steve Day just said his son had a football coach one time that was amazing, and all the kids loved. And it said Testy. I'm sure it was a misspelling. Just like Lisa said, he didn't allow anyone to say anything negative. Even when he'd chew a kid's butt, he'd end it with something positive by telling them what they did that was great.
Yeah,
apparently a really good coach, and that's management 101 too. It's you before you correct, you praise. You praise them first, and then you can give them a correction. But it's just a correction. It's not a you suck. You do that. I mean, I know Lisa. I mean, not Lisa. Amy, you work in a place where you kind of are in charge of a few things, and there's people who work with you or with you. What have you encountered as far as negative and positive to approach things like that?
Well, I think being positive is a choice. There are people who I think sometimes misconstrue happy and positive. They think being positive means you have to be happy, and those aren't necessarily the same thing. They can be the same thing sometimes, but you can be positive without necessarily being happy about something. Because some people feel like it's artificial to pretend to be happy. This isn't about pretending to be happy. It's about being positive. It's looking at the positive side of things. I've been managing people for almost 30 years, and there's something I've identified as the Eeyore syndrome, If you think about Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, who's always, oh, bother, woe is me, that thing. He loses his tail.
Bother.
Never good. Oh, bother. Exactly. And there are some people that I say, have the Eeyore syndrome. And for some people, it's attention getting. And for some people, it's just about the fact that they just can't be positive and they don't make that choice. They choose instead to just, always find the negative. There's 100 positives and they'll find that one negative and stick to it and let that influence them and the people around them. And, they can become kind of toxic after a while.
Negativity is absolutely toxic. I mean, I like you said, it's like Lisa said, it's such a, when you speak those negative words, they have more power than speaking positive words. And so, and that applies in the dating scene. I mean, it absolutely applies as we're talking about here, how it applies in the dating scene. Let me ask you something, Lisa. Give me a few examples, even though you've kind of already gone over this. Let's go over it again. What do you do when you are going on a date with somebody, first date, and you're sitting there and they're being negative on themselves? I mean, do you just straight up tell them stop, or you just say later? Because remember, you told me that one time before. There's certain things that you just don't deal with, and someone who's negative seems like that would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, people get addicted to negativity. They are addicted to that feeling they get from being negative. And it's really hard. If somebody's been that way a long time, their whole lives, it's hard to break that. You're not likely going to change it. I mean, you could mention it, say, hey, let's talk about something more positive. This is kind of bringing me down. You could mention it, but if that's the person's character, they're probably going to go back to it. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that, oh, well, they're done, I'm never going to see that person again. But, maybe they were just having a really bad day. But, they're, if it continued on for a period of time, it's like, what's the point of being with somebody that's just going to bring you down all the time? I mean, how's that adding value to your life? It's not.
Right.
Your significant other is supposed to bring joy to your life, not take it away. So.
That's right. So also we wanted to talk about what was the other topic you said you wanted to touch on?
Okay, so the other thing I do with newer clients, they're always like, I want to meet somebody, and so I start out with, well, tell me about your ideal person that you would like to meet. How old, how tall, red hair, brown hair, blonde hair, whatever. Just, what do they do? Tell me, like your ideal perfect person, right? So they'll give me this, and I go into really a lot of detail, and they can always tell me exactly what they're looking for, and then I say, well, okay, so that's what you want. And they say, yeah. And I say, okay, well, what do you think that person wants? And then that kind of trips them up, and it makes them think, why would that person want me? What are they looking for? So sometimes, you'll get somebody, and they want this 20-year-old supermodel, that's rich and, faithful and this and that, but, I'm like, okay, but what do you think she wants? And then they're like, let me think about that for a second.
Either and that or they immediately say, well, not me.
Yeah, right.
They get the negativity cripes in there and they go, well, not me.
Right. So then I go a little bit further with it and I say, well, what kind of person do you think would want to be with somebody like you? Right. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of, it's bringing their expectations into reality more, and it makes it easier for them to, figure out where to start looking, because a lot of times people are very, very confused about, who would want to date them. So
yeah, no, I get that. And, it's funny though, because, before my wife met me, if you'd asked her what she was looking for, I don't think she would have described me. But at the same time, I don't know that because I can tell you that. What is that noise? That's like a train or something coming in. Anyway,
Oh, it's
is that you, Amy?
It could be. I have no idea.
No, it's okay. It's all good. So the question I have for you, Lisa, is how do you reverse engineer, the whole dating thing? That was one of the things that you had said, and I see what you did there with as far as telling the person, well, what do you think that person would want from you?
right.
But that's not always the case, obviously, because I can't. There's no way I can. I mean, I might describe you as something that would be, hey, I'd like to go out with her. A girl that's got nice, beautiful, silky black hair, and she's got nice eyebrows and pretty eyes, all those things. And then someone asked me, well, what kind of guy do you think she's looking for? Well, I can guess, but at the same time, you're a unique soul, and you have a different way of looking at things than other people. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are the same way. So
That's true.
So how do you approach? I mean, I don't want to say to that person and have them say, like I just said, what kind of person do you think she'd go out with? Not me. So when someone says that, how do you then, you just try and get them to lower their expectations?
Well, sometimes that's the problem. You get these, women that don't take good care of themselves or whatever. And they're like, hey, I want to date some 20-year-old bodybuilder, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not who he's looking for. He's probably trying to get the girls at the gym that he's working out with. Right. And so sometimes I do that to try to, make them get that point. But other times it's more about people that have similar priorities. So people that are very into fitness are probably it's a big priority in their life. If they're running every day and they're going to the gym or whatever, they're most likely going to want somebody that will go to the gym with them or will go running with them.
Or go hiking.
Right? Yeah, or whatever they're into. Or, if they're into, like building a business and networking and they like going to network meetings and stuff, if they get in a relationship, they're probably going to want somebody that will go with them to those meetings and to socialize and to do the networking thing. And so it's really about compatibility and priorities. You have to have the same kind of like with me, I'm always networking and building business connections and looking, to start another business or buy another investment property or whatever I'm going to do. If I was with somebody that didn't have any interest in that and wouldn't go with me, then, I would prefer to have somebody that was also interested that would also go and do those things with me.
Right. Well, but also you have a guy that comes into your life that is a master chef and he likes to stay in the kitchen and cook and make nice things.
Yeah,
so while you go,
I could bring home the bacon and he could fry it up for me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it might
absolutely.
work. It might work, but I think over time, I would probably get tired of going to all the social events by myself. So if somebody's not social and they don't want to go out and socialize, the person that does want to do that doesn't want to always go by themselves. They would like to have somebody there on their arm, right?
Right.
And so, and that's why I say, what do you think that person is looking for? Because if they are a social person, they're most likely looking for somebody to go and socialize with them.
Right. Or in Amy's case, she really likes decorating for Christmas, and so she's making sure that her husband is the one that'll climb the ladder and set up the Christmas tree and all those things, right, Amy?
Absolutely. My husband, it's very interesting to hear the different perspectives because my husband and I dated very different people from the people we married, which is very interesting that, the perspective changes when you meet the right person, that, you think about things differently.
Yeah.
And, It's just interesting.
And love does take you by surprise, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see somebody and you're thinking to yourself, if you know, from across the room, that you're like, I would never go out with that guy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but mutual friends put you together and you start talking. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I like this guy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not who I would, you know, if I'm judging a book by its wrapper, by its
Mm-hmm.
cover, that's not the guy that I would ever seem to want to do something with.
Mm-hmm.
However, you get to know them, and they like
Mm-hmm.
to socialize. They like to go
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
entrepreneurial kind of social events, even
Mm-hmm.
though you saw it when you first met them. They were over in the corner reading a book, and you're like going, oh, "Okay, that is not a social
Mm-hmm.
butterfly." But you never know. You can't judge a book by its cover because you never know what that person's up to. You know, they're reading
Yeah.
so they can be more social. You know, staying on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's the same with people that like to travel a lot. You know, if one person doesn't like to travel and the other one does, somebody's going to be really unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know, they want somebody usually to travel with them. You know, I
Right.
see a lot of, and I see it a lot more, I think, with women. They want to go out and socialize. They want to go out and travel. And the guy's like, I'm tired, man. I don't want to do all this. I just want to sit here and watch the game and drink a beer. She's driving me nuts. And so she ends up going out and having to do everything by herself. And, you know, not usually very happy about it either.
Right.
So,
well, it's interesting that you bring up travel because my wife and I met on the internet and I had put up a profile on Match.com. She didn't have a profile, but I put one up, and one of the things I wrote is that I like to travel, and I do. However, and we have traveled a little bit, but nothing like what she used to do when she was younger. But now I want to go do stuff, and she doesn't want to do stuff. Well, not necessarily, but in a large part, you know, I want to plan a date, or go out, the two of us, leave the kids with the grandparents, and go on an excursion or something like that. And she's like, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm like, dang, you know, I would love to do that. And she's the one that gives me a hard time all the time about, you know, remember when you wrote, I love to travel? So,
yeah. So, you know, it's, you have to think about what is the other person looking for. That's the whole point of reverse engineering.
Absolutely. Sure.
You know, there's a lot of guys out there, they want to go every weekend on their boat. They just, that's their whole thing. I got to be on the boat. I want to be on the water. I can't do that. I'm not going to sit on the boat every weekend. It's not going to happen.
Well,
You know?
Depends on the size of the boat, you know. It's like
I don't care.
boat.
Don't care. It's not happening.
You don't want to go fishing?
No, it's not going to happen. I have other things that I do on the weekends. I just can't. And I would be so extremely bored just sitting there on a boat like, oh, this is awesome. You know, there's so many things I could be doing right now. And I can't get anything done because I'm stuck in the middle of this freaking water. So, yeah. So it's not always about what I want. It's about what the other person wants, you know, so you need to figure out their lifestyle. What are they looking for?
But it's got to come together. I mean, it's got to be, you guys have to have similar likes and dislikes, because if you don't, that's when the problems start occurring, I think.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm on a lot of women's groups, you know, like women in business and women entrepreneurs and things like that. And there's a lot of them that just have completely resigned dating, ever trying to meet anybody. They have no interest in it. They were never able to, they've come out of marriages where their husband didn't ever want to go do anything. And they love their freedom now. They have their friends, they have their social circles, they have their businesses, they have everything. And they really just don't want to have to deal with, you know, it's just, they don't need it. They don't want it. And it's kind of sad, really, you know, but
yeah.
I think especially I see that more in, you know, women in their 40s or 50s or even older they're just done with it. They're, you know, and for that reason, because a lot of guys in that age range, they don't really want to do anything. They're happy to just sit on the couch and drink beer And the woman's just like, wow, this is how I'm going to spend the rest of my life. There's more to the world than this, so.
Sounds like you're this close to generalizing there, Lisa.
Yeah, no, I'm not really generalizing. I'm just saying that it's an observation that I see because I'm in a lot of women's groups.
Yeah.
And the subject has come up several times, how do you guys with your businesses and all this and stuff that, how do you find time to date or have relationships? And most of them like, we don't even, it's not even a thought.
Right. Right.
And I think in a lot of ways that's kind of sad, but like
I see
said,
the exact same thing.
What did you say, Amy?
I see a lot. I see that as well. I see a lot of it. A lot of it.
Mhm.
It's just it's more trouble than it's worth in a lot of people's perspective, and they want to live their life their way, and they don't want to necessarily negotiate or give up what they really want. A lot of these women gave up and made a lot of sacrifices earlier in their
yes,
and now they're saying, this is me time. This is me time short, and I know what I want, and I'm going to pursue it. And they find happiness inside themselves, not with somebody else. So I'm seeing a lot of that.
Yeah,
well,
I see it a lot.
I mean, my sister is, she's just happy and as a clam to be doing what she's doing, being in the business world, being a developer and writer and all this kind of stuff. And so what? There's no all that other stuff that she thought she really wanted. I think she's kind of come to terms. It's like, yeah, that's just not something that I'm interested in doing. I'd rather focus my time on me and what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's very happy in the state she's in. And,
well, if a woman has spent 20 years of her life being, basically in domestic servitude, she's changed diapers and stayed up all night with 6 kids, and sick kids and homework and running back and forth. She's never had any time for herself. She's never had time to develop her career. She's been devoted to her family, and now the kids are gone. They're grown. And she's like, hey, the years of domestic servitude are over. I'm a free woman. They're done. I don't have to do all this. I don't have 8 loads of laundry to do tonight. I don't have to sit up and help people with final projects and things like that. I can go hang out with my friends. So, a lot of them have just really given up on it.
Right. No, you're right. Absolutely. You're right about that. That's funny. I mean, that's funny that you mentioned that because there are a lot of people out there that you're just happy in their own skin, and and that's part of kind of our society right now. The society is trying to push the and this general what is it, the me generation? Who's the me generation? What are the ages of the me generation, Amy? Do you know?
I don't know, but I see a lot of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that that's a good thing, though. I mean, I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, it's good for some people who've not been taking care of themselves. People who've been, like you said, in domestic servitude. I mean, have been doing all those things. Yeah, they need to take some time for themselves. But there's also people, and I think of guys immediately, the bodybuilder guys. They're so worried about them and about how they look, and their number one priority is going to the gym and buffing out and all that kind of stuff. And of course, they're going to attract some women because they think that's what's attractive to them, and they're going to get treated like junk because the guy's not interested in anything but himself. And I've seen that a lot with guys. I've had friends who I can tell. I mean, they don't. Yeah, so what? I don't care what she thinks, or I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't understand why women are so attracted to that, but it seems like they are.
But there are women who are the same way, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not just a man thing. There are women who are the same way.
Yeah. No, I agree with you totally, Amy.
I think in the in the 40s and 50s and 60s age range, I see more women that don't want a relationship at all than I do men. I think in that age range, there's probably more men that are looking for a relationship than there are women. For the reasons, that we talked about.
Well, Yeah, I mean that's why. I mean the kind of relationship. That's why I like being in a relationship. I like to be able to hold. I mean, I'm a softie, so I like girls. Not girls. Sorry, everybody. No, don't do that. No, but I mean, yeah, you guys are soft and you're snuggly and all that, and that's the sense of I like. That's all I care about. I don't care about all the further than that. I mean, that's no big deal. But I think there's a lot of guys that they're very. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody that they can put their arm around and be physical with them, not necessarily sexual, but just somebody they can just kind of know is there for them. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm sure it does to some of our guys that are watching and listening, but especially Clark. I'm gonna bring him up here and he's gonna fight Steve Day for you.
Oh,
Anyway.
they're both cuties. I'm sure neither of them have any problems getting dates.
No, my money's on Clark though, because he's a buff stud. He goes running every day. Yeah, he's a big, tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What else we want to talk about, Lisa? What else is something? Amy, you two can chime in. What do you think?
We know.
What do you think?
The last time I got to spend time with you guys, it was called what was the term that you were using for like the quid pro quo of dating or relationships? Was it transactional?
Oh yeah, transactional relationships.
So after having that conversation, I've been seeing it everywhere. So once you're aware of something, it becomes so more apparent. I am absolutely fascinated at the number of people who take that mindset into looking at somebody. And it's really interesting. And, some of those people don't have a lot of good luck finding it very interesting that the people who have those more, strict rules that, I expect you to do this, there's going to be this. It's really fascinating. So I've been talking to a couple of people based on the information you shared last time, Lisa, and it's really interesting to really see it in real people. And what they're doing or doing wrong in some cases.
You're right.
Yeah.
What they're doing and what they're doing wrong. That's definitely what they're doing might be wrong, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you want to speak to that real quick, and for people who maybe are watching and that didn't get a chance to catch that episode of Love Hacks.
So I think, a lot of women are looking for the emotional connection. You know how when women get together, it's just talk. We like that emotional connection. And I think a lot of guys are not like that. When you see guys get together, they're just sitting there next to each other, drinking a beer and watching the game. They don't really need that or want that emotional connection. So the difference between men and women, we get together, the women want to just talk. And the guy just wants to okay, when's this going to be over? Because the game's coming on shortly. How much longer do I have to listen to this? So I think a lot of times the women are looking for more of an emotional connection, and the guy is looking for more of a transactional, where I don't really want to talk all the time, but I would like it if you made me some dinner, and hey, there's some dirty laundry up here that maybe if you get around to it, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like it later, maybe, we could hook up or something. But as far as this, no, we don't want this. So,
well, there's a great song by Randy Travis called, the name of the song is Forever and Ever Amen. But he talks about old men sitting around talking about the weather and old women sitting around talking about old men.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're talking about. The guys are like, well, yeah, it looks like it might rain, and the woman is sitting around and going, look at those old doofuses over there talking about the weather,
Yeah. And, I hate stereotyping and generalizations, but, women are the ones that watch the romantic comedies and read the romance novels, and all of our women's books are about relationships and this and that. Guys don't read articles about relationships, they're like, I'm going to read this about the sports,
Most guys.
Yeah, most. And that's what I'm saying. I don't like to stereotype people, but there's usually a little bit of truth to that. So to most of the stereotypes. And so I think a lot of times the men are more looking for a transactional type of relationship
Right.
than the
Well,
emotional.
there's another what comes to my mind as you said that was, and me in movies, but there's a movie with Clint Eastwood in it. He plays this army, sergeant major, and his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, whatever, works at this bar that he goes to, and he's going in there trying to talk nice to her and all this kind of stuff, because he's trying to get back together with her. He's trying to get her to he's trying to change his ways. He's an old salty Marine, and he's trying not to be an old salty Marine anymore. And she comes out to talk to him, and then she looks over on the passenger side of the truck, and she said, "What is all that over there?" And it's like Vogue magazine and Better Homes and Gardens. He's been reading all these magazines just so he can figure out what he can say to her to make her, and all that kind of. Anyway, very funny, very funny little part of the movie there. But I can identify with that. I mean, you want to try and figure out a way that you can, make the girl smitten over you, and so you start looking into, or you ask your friends who are women, what do I need to do this and do that, and that's if you're a sensitive guy like myself. And just trying to look at what it is that so I can make someone happy, make my wife excited and happy about her life, and do what I got to do. I learned that I just have to unload the dishwasher as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then load it.
If you look at the articles that are in women's magazines like Cosmopolitan, it's all about relationships, what to do when he acts like this and how to get him to commit and this and that. And it's all about relationships. And in men's magazine, if they talk about women at all, it's generally has something to do with sex, but most of it isn't even about women at all. It has nothing to do with women,
Right.
So, it's more out, sports cars or hunting or, something like that. So there's a little bit of truth to those stereotypes. And I think women go in wanting that closeness that we have with our girlfriends. We want to be able to talk about everything. And guys that are just like, they don't want to hear it,
Well, it's funny because I always wondered about this, ladies, and maybe you can both enlighten me here. Cosmo, right? Is a magazine for women.
Mm-hmm.
And yet throughout the magazine, there's no picture of men. All these supermodels doing this and doing that, and or just even showing off their perfume and stuff. And I'm like, any men's magazine, Maxim, hello, all you see is women in the magazine because that's what men want to look at. But
well,
I'm like,
Cosmo's a lot of advertisements, so they're trying to sell things to the women's,
Well, but why wouldn't they have some guy looking at you going, this perfume, when women wear this, it drives me crazy, or something like that. I don't. It's just always been very funny to me because, I like, when I'm in the doctor's office, I pick up the Cosmo and go through it, take the sex quiz or the relationship quiz or whatever, just because it's fun. And, so it says that it says in there that I need to meet a nice, tall, blonde, muscle man. And, that's what it comes down to.
But, if a man was trying to sell a woman perfume, she would probably be like, I don't know, this probably smells like fish bait or something. That's probably why he likes it. We would trust another woman's opinion. Like, I'll call another woman and say, what do you like for perfume? I'm not going to call a guy, He's going to say, I like this because it smells like motor oil, or something. What I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is so weird. When I worked in the high schools, doing safety and security and whatnot. We were doing a football game one night, and a couple of the cheerleaders were walking past me, and I was like, I said, here, come here for a minute, to one of the girls. I said, okay, this is not creepy, but what perfume are you wearing? Because I just smelled it when you went by me, and I really like it. And she goes, Britney Spears. I'm like, well, I can't buy that for my wife. She's gonna look at me like, you bought me Britney Spears. Yeah. So that was over, but it smelled good. I was like, this. I like the way that smells. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so women, we will trust other women's judgment as far as marketing goes for beauty type products. We're not going to trust a guy for that, I mean, it's like having a guy pick out your clothes, he's going to pick something totally inappropriate, so yeah. But now it's the opposite. It's the opposite when they're selling, the men's colognes and stuff. They're always like, here's this guy wearing Axe cologne, and there's all these girls around him, and he's thinking, well, this stuff must work, If the girls like it, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
the girls don't like it. That's just they're all paid to like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what they don't understand. And I keep trying to tell these young men, she's paid to do that. She's like she gets paid.
Yeah.
So she'll shake her little bush tootie and shake her little and whatever else and wear a low cut gown because guess what? They're paying her.
Yeah.
Nice money to show off.
But they'll take their chances though. They'll be like, you never know. Maybe they really do like it. So I'll try it.
Yeah, that's why everybody buys Jaguars because you got those beautiful women climbing out of them saying, any man that drives this car is going to get me to climb in the passenger seat. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I
mean, they use women to kind of sell everything from beer to sports cars. Yeah, it does. It does.
Yep. No doubt.
But it doesn't work that well with women. I mean, we'll check out a good looking guy, but we're not going to buy something from him. Just because he's attractive, we're going to be like,
I don't know. I think there's some women that like that kind of go when they see some attractive guy.
I'm not saying that we don't.
I've seen it, yeah.
But I don't think it would drive us to buy it.
No,
it's not going to drive us to buy it because we know that if we put on this perfume, we're not going to be surrounded by these 20-year-old bodybuilders. We logically know that's not going to happen. Where the guy logically thinks if I put on this Axe cologne that all these girls are going to just, try to attack me. And he's more likely to believe that than we are to believe the opposite. You know what I mean?
Listen, a guy can only dream. That's all there is to
it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a dream to have a bunch of women fawning all over you.
But another thing is a lot of women, honestly, they dress to impress other women more than men.
Right. What is that about?
I don't know. It's like they get all these, the big, long, fancy fingernails with crystals and jewels and all this stuff on them. And, other women go crazy, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Da, 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 da. And men, they're like,
her nails.
Men won't even notice. They'll be like, what? She had hands? I didn't even notice,
I only notice the long nails when we're bowling and they break one of them off.
Yeah. But, a lot of the trends and stuff that women wear and men are just like, that's, so women oftentimes will dress to impress other women.
And men definitely dress to impress. Well, that's not true.
Men
some men don't even think about dressing, but yeah.
No, I mean, men will actually dress to impress other men too.
Mm-hmm.
When you get up and you put on your flannel shirt and your baseball hat, and women aren't going to come climbing all over you, but your buddies are going to be like, you're cool, come and hang out and have a beer with me. But if they went into some sports bar and they were all dressed up in a nice, sharp looking suit, that some woman would be like, whoa, look at him. His buddies would be like, whoa, what funeral are you going to? You get married today or what? They would give him a hard time. So
because they know he looks better than them.
Right. So they would give him a hard time. So yeah, men do dress to impress other men because trust me, women aren't impressed by that at all. You know
what? I put on clothes that I want to impress myself. I put on clothes that are comfortable and that I like but I like to look good. I like to look good, but not for men and not necessarily even for women. I just want to look good, period. And so, I wear different things. Like, for instance, when I saw this Grouch shirt, I had to
I
have it.
like it. Yeah, it's nice.
Had to have it. Mr. Grouch there. Look at him. Isn't he awesome?
That's awesome.
But I
You
didn't
know,
want that for any other reason than that I just thought it was cool. I liked it. So
right. But men have to fit in with their men crowd, right? And women
Right.
have to fit in with their women crowd. So generally, we don't even dress for each other.
right,
you know?
right. I will tell you
Which-
this shirt though, even today, and every time I wear it, I get at least 4 or 5 comments from women about how much, oh, I really like your shirt. That's really a great shirt. No guy's ever said to me, dude, I love that shirt, pal. Looks good on you. Never.
Yeah. Well, men don't like to give compliments to other men. It's easier. They kind of bond by insulting each other,
Exactly.
So, women don't do that. If you insult your friend and say, oh, wow, you look like whatever, and they're just going to hate you forever.
Oh, I know.
So,
Yeah. You look
know.
like trash. If you said that to a woman, holy crap.
Yeah, it'd be a
In
cat fight.
trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, but guys talk to each other that way, they'll be like, oh, you look like you're ready to, go whatever. And
Yeah.
guys will laugh and it'll be funny. But
Yeah.
to women, you can't be like, wow, that dress looks like a trash bag on you. You know what? You're done. You'll never speak to that woman again.
No, she'll never speak to you. I might speak to
Yeah.
her again, but yeah. No,
So,
I got you.
It's the
That's
communication styles are different,
All right, I need to get from you, Lisa, and we're going to get from Amy. Give me a love hack there, Lisa, as we wrap up.
No negative thinking, no negative words. Just stop the negativity. You don't have to be positive. You don't have to be happy all the time, but no negativity. Especially don't speak it and don't write it.
Amy, love hack.
What? Stay open-minded and be yourself, because eventually someone's going to figure out who you really are. And that whole catfish fraud, behaving like something you're not really,
Yeah.
in the end. And if you want to wear your Grouch shirt, wear your Grouch shirt.
That's right.
Who loves you for your Grouch shirt?
Wear my suspenders and
There
wear my I used in high school. I don't know if you remember this, Amy, but
I do.
I used to wear my overalls all the time in high school.
I do remember that.
I love my overalls. I didn't give a rat what anybody else thought. I just wore my overalls. I had
that was that was in style back then, though. That's what all the cool kids wore.
Nobody else was wearing them. I was the only
Really?
one wearing overalls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yep. Only one. But
even Madonna wore them back in the 80s.
Well, she was cute too. That's probably why I wore them.
Yeah.
So Steve Day, before we go here, Jade Swayze said, "Tell Lisa to talk to me. I will listen."
Hi, Jade.
And then Steve Day said,
and I want to say, Jade, I love your new car. It's beautiful.
Ooh, see, girls do like cars.
Well, he wrecked his car last week, and it was like, it was really bad. I was glad he was okay, but he got a new one, and it's really pretty. So,
what kind?
A Corvette.
Oh,
I love Corvettes. I've had some myself, so I really liked it. So
I got you. So it's okay. So Steve Day said, before we go here, it said on his profile picture, he put a picture of himself on his profile of wearing a suit. And all of his guy friends said he looked like he was a mortician. What are you, a mortician?
Yeah. But what did the girls say? The girls all loved it.
I'm sure
girls
they did.
Loved it. Yeah.
I'm sure they did. He's a good-looking guy anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, the girls went crazy over that one.
Ladies, thank you so much, and I appreciate you every day, every way. You're so sweet, so nice, and but that's it for Love Hacks. We are done for this week. Join us next week, Wednesday at 7:00. Lisa, maybe Amy, all of us will all get our heads together and have a good show.
Yeah, we will, and I will see you then. I hope you have a great week.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have a good week without even trying. Good night, everybody.
It's good seeing you, Amy. Bye-bye.
Bye, Amy. Thanks.
Bye.